So you want to make particles. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that. Now for this tutorial, we're going to assume you already have basic knowledge of Roblox Studio. If not, I recommend you check out another tutorial. Today we're going to be going through all of the different settings and things we can mess with particle emitters. To start off, color. Color is pretty simple. You can make it as vibrant or as light as you want, and then you can also change how dark or how bright it is. There's not much to talk about with colors. However, if you click over here and click these three dots, you can actually make a gradient, which will change the color. It'll fade like this throughout the particle's lifetime. So you can do this however you want and move these to whatever color, and you can do some really cool stuff with this. It can look really pretty when done right. So we're just going to leave this like this for now. And let's move on to light emission. Light emission is how much light is emitted by the particle. So sometimes you're going to want it really low, sometimes you're going to want it really high. For now, we're going to leave it at 0.5. It's a nice medium that still looks really pretty. And the next is light influence. This is how much the world's light will affect the particles. So if we turn this down, and then we go out and we drag the moon, we drag it around like this, the particles are not going to change. However, if we turn light influence back on, they're going to look a little bit different at night versus in the day. It's a little bit difficult to notice, but it's usually better to have this off when you're trying to do a specific kind of particles, but it's completely up to you. And once we have light influence off, this actually gives us access to the brightness setting. So we can change this to 0 if we want the particles to just be completely black, or 0.5, or even 10, and they'll get really, really bright. You can even make it whatever this is, and then that's kind of going to screw up the color a lot. But red basically turns to pink. Lighter colors are going to turn into white. So don't turn the brightness up that high. We're just going to leave this at 1 for now. Then next is orientation. Orientation, this will change the way the particles will face. So instead of facing the camera, they're going to be facing, well, whatever way you look at it. They might be facing up like this, or they might be facing forward. I guess it's facing the world's up. And then velocity parallel, I forget the difference between the two. Last is velocity perpendicular, which is the opposite, like this. So for now, we're just going to leave this at facing camera. And next we have size. Size is pretty simple. You can make it 3, you can make it 0.1, you can do whatever you want with this. But the cool thing about size is when you press the 3 dots, just like we did with color, it's a similar system, however, a little bit different. So we can make different points here to make them bigger or smaller at certain points. You can make it really small here, and then it can get really big, just like that. It can look really nice. A lot of these things can just become really nice with a lot of skill in what you're trying to make. We're not going to mess with this right now. We're going to continue explaining things, but one other thing is this thing called envelope, basically meaning whatever we do here, particles will be anywhere from these 2 points, so it's kind of adding some randomization to it, if that's what you're trying to go for. Like I said, we're not going to be messing with that right now. Next is squash, which is a similar idea. You can do the same thing with it, except with squash, this is going to squash the particles, or squash the image you're using. And I have a bunch of images lined up for us to use today, and you can always grab any image you want off of Google, or any other Roblox image on the or just what is it called, the image library or whatever Roblox has, I don't remember. You can also look on Toolbox, but whenever you do use Toolbox, make sure to watch out for any possible viruses or things in free models, because that happens and I don't want you guys to get banned or anything like that because of me. And next is textures, and like I said, I have a bunch of images. We can change this to whatever we want. And we're going to mess with that later. For now, we're going to switch back to the default, because it works pretty well just to have a nice... it's a good default. That's what I'm trying to say. So transparency, that's self-explanatory. We can make it go invisible for a period of time and then it'll reappear. We can make it flicker on and off like this, which can also look really nice. It kind of looks like twinkling stars or something. But there's no need for transparency right now. Next is the Z offset, which basically, if I put this to 3, you can kind of see the particles in front of the part. And if I do like -3, they're behind. So it's kind of like layered differently on inside of the world. So like I can make this 10 and not see them, but then when I go back here, I do see them. It's pretty interesting. Then I can make it like -10, where I think it's gonna be pretty far under. So you're not gonna see the okay, yeah, you're not going to see the particles. It looks like they're over there, but in reality, they're not. They're just under it because we made it -10. So we're going to leave this as 0. There's no need to change that right now. Next, we have the emission direction. You can change it from any side of the part, just like this. We're going to leave it at top. Next is enabled. You can enable and disable the particles if you're trying to test stuff. The lifetime is how long the particles will live. So if we make it 0.1, they're not going to live for very long. But if we make it like 10, they're going to live for a while. We're going to leave this at 1 to 1.5, meaning it'll live from anywhere from 1 to 1.5. I think this might be counted in seconds, but I'm not entirely sure. It seems like it would. Next is the rate. The rate is the rate in which the particles will be emitted. So if we make this 500, there's going to be a ton of particles. But if we make it 1, there's not going to be very many. We're going to leave this at 40 for now, just to add a little bit more. Maybe we'll make the lifetime just slightly longer, so we can see more of that color. Next is the rotation. This will be the amount the image is rotated when being emitted. So if we do it like this is a little bit more obvious, I think. Yeah, kind of like this. We can make it 0. It's going to be like this. -40, it's going to kind of turn to the side. And if you want it to be a completely random orientation, you can do -180 to 180. So it's going to be a completely random orientation. And usually that's what I'll be doing for particles, unless I'm trying to make something like, I guess, literally this, because since this is an image of fire, I'd want it to not be very much like that. But you can make it shorter like this, like -30 to 30. It's not gonna turn very much upside down or anything like that. We'll just leave it like that, and then actually we need to switch back to the default particle image. I'll make this 30, -30. That's not going to do very much with the default sparkles because they're pretty symmetrical. Next is rotation speed. So during the lifetime, if we make this 50, they'll slowly rotate. And the same applies to this. You can make it really fast, and you can also do it in a random way, like this. So I'll just leave it like that. Then the speed is the speed they have when going up. So I make this 1. It's very slow. If you make it 100, they're going to be very, very fast. We're going to leave that at 5. Then the spread angle, if we make this 360, the particles are going to emit in a 360-degree circle around the part. So basically, this is going to make the emission direction irrelevant, unless it's not 360. So we can make it like 30. So now it's more like this. It can look really neat and nice. Or if we go back to 0, it's just going to be straight up. This is a very helpful tool for making particles look, I guess, more natural. I think for now we're going to make this 15. Yeah, it looks pretty nice. Next is the emitter shape. This is a little bit more complex. So this is the shape things are going to be emitted in. It's I'm not too familiar with this, but it changes the way they're emitted. Actually, I'm not sure how to explain this, but I have a really useful plugin called Ross Particle Editor, which will display the shape and the whole, like how far they're going to go and the colors. And I can talk more about that later, but for now, we don't need to change this. And shape in, out, this is going to change some more things about it. I'm not going to get too in-depth on the shape, because I haven't really messed with that much. Anyways, let's just go ahead and move on to motion. We're going to skip flipbook animation because it's a pretty new thing and a little bit difficult to do, and I haven't really messed around with that much either. So next is motion or acceleration in the motion category. So if we make this 30, 0, 0, this is on an XYZ axis. They're going to start going in this, or on the X world axis, in this direction. Or as we make it negative 30, it's going to actually type it right. It's going to go the other way, like this. Now it doesn't matter what way the part is oriented. It's still going to go that way. They may emit down like this, but it's still going to go in that general direction. So this will follow the world axis rather than the part's orientation and where it's emitting from. So if we make this 0, negative 20, then they're going to start falling down. And this could be useful for something like, I guess like a rain or waterfall sort of thing, if we make it like 40. Or if we instead make the speed a little bit higher, like 10, it's kind of like a fountain. It'll splash up and then it's going to go back down. So if we made this more of a blue color, made it a little bit brighter, it looks more like a watery color. So that's how acceleration works. Then last we have the particles category. Next is drag. Basically, how do I explain this? I'm just gonna go ahead and use paint for this. So basically, the speed of a particle's lifetime is linear, or not its lifetime, its speed is linear, so it's gonna be a straight line, it's gonna keep a consistent speed. However, with drag, the speed is going to be pretty high, and then it's gonna go down very rapidly. So it's gonna start dragging towards the end of its lifetime, if that makes any sense. So if we made it one like this, it's easier to see if we make this like 30 up here, and then they start dragging and slowing down very rapidly. Now we can make this less, and it's going to drag less. You can kind of see where this goes. So we don't need to use drag right now. Locked apart. This is a little bit, or this is pretty useful. So as you can see, particles will spread around like this. They're not going to move. However, if we use locked apart, if we toggle that to true, the particles will move with the part. So if you wanted this like an aura, rather than like an emission, just like this, it's gonna stay with the part. Rather than if we wanted it to emit kind of like whatever it's gonna be. And then time scale, this is the speed of the particle. So if we make it 0.1, that means it's moving at 10% speed. Like everything is going at 10% speed. Whereas if it's 1, everything is moving normally. 0.5 or 0.6, I guess, is let's just go to 0.5. 0.5 is going to be at 50% of the speed. So if you make it completely 0, it's just going to stop. And nothing's going to be happening. Then setting it back to 1, that's going to be normal. Now, velocity inheritance is something I checked out recently. It's actually really, really cool. So, like I demonstrated earlier, the particles are like this. If I add velocity inheritance, particles will, actually, it's a little bit difficult to demonstrate this when it has speed already. We're just going to leave them like this so I can demonstrate it easier. Wait, did I turn it off? Oh, actually, I'm stupid. I just realized this can't be demonstrated while the game is not running. Okay, so now, if we do this, actually, if it's... Yeah, I do need to do what I was trying to do before I actually was running the game. We're going to turn the speed off, and we're going to lock it to the part, I think. No, lock it. No, we don't. We can't lock it to the part. I'm sorry, I'm kind of dumb. Okay, let me anchor this. No, it does need physics. I'm sorry, I'm stupid. So, okay, if we let it drop with physics... Actually, you know what? This would be better on a player. So why don't I just go into the game? I'm sorry, I'm terrible at doing this. Ignore my absolutely sexy avatar. We're just going to quickly take the particles from this and add it to my character. So here, they're emitting like normal. So now to explain what this does. Whenever I move, velocity inheritance, the particles will take my velocity or my speed and add it onto the particle's speed, so they're going to move at the same speed I am. Or if we make this like 3, it's going to have 3 times my speed. Or if we make it 0.5, it's going to have half my speed and kind of follow me a little bit, but not as much. Make it like 0.75, it's going to follow me but drag a little bit behind, if that makes any sense. So if we kind of jump like this, the particles are shooting up because they already have velocity going up. So when there's my velocity plus that, it's going to go very, very fast. I'm not sure if I explained that properly, but I didn't realize I couldn't demonstrate that without it having actual physics in play. Anyways, there is how every single property works. Next, I want to add an attachment. This will basically make it all emit from one place instead of throughout the part. So if I were to make this really, really big, it would emit all throughout the part rather than at one point. So if we put in an attachment, it's going to be where the attachment is. And for using the attachment, I'm going to make the part just one by one by one. Actually, I'll just make this completely invisible just for ease. Now we can go back into doing something. Let me just have a default particle emitter to start. Okay, why don't we go ahead and start by let's start with some sort of fire thing. Let's kind of make this consistent. Let's slow this down, make it a little bit brighter, light influence off. Okay, let's make this a little bit more orangey reddish color. Maybe we'll use one of these. Like this. Should this be 1? I think very close, if not 1. Okay, maybe I'll make the rotation like 30, -30, kind of like this. If we turn the rate up, it's kind of looking like fire. We're definitely gonna have to mess with the size. Honestly, okay, scratch the size for now. I want this to emit like this. And then make it like more like this. That's way too fast. Hold on. Emit more. Okay, that's more like that. But what if we instead make this bigger? So it's gonna kind of okay, definitely not that many particles. This is starting to look pretty alright. A little bit bigger. Let's be too much bigger, but I think we want a shorter lifetime for the fire. Okay, that's a little bit too short. Something that's not 1, just somewhat shorter, I guess. What if we use the bigger image for this? There might be too many particles. Could make the starting size bigger, so it's a little less, like, jumpy, I guess, kind of the right word. What if we make it like this? Put a little bit more effort or more detail into making it fade out better. Smooth this up a tad, just see the full thing better. We get him at like 20. I mean, that actually looks better. Changing that. Something's definitely off. Okay, edit another fire image. I think instead, the idea of what I want to go for is something more like, we're gonna do a full rotation like this, and then, actually, you know, looking like this, It honestly looks pretty decent. I'm kind of forgetting the sort of idea of how to make fire particles. It's not one of the easier things to do. Make it more like this. I don't think we'd make it 10, but... it honestly looks pretty nice. Make it a little bit less red, but I like that. I like that orangey yellow color. That looks really nice. I might have to think for a minute. I completely forgot how to make fire. Okay, I've gone ahead and looked at a previous reference for what actually good fire looks like and what I need to do. Every good developer sometimes forgets what they need to do. So this is going to be 180, then I'm gonna make it slightly rotate. The size thing I was way off about. So instead, what I'm gonna do is, let me just make this back to 1, or put it back to 1. It's a very small change, and then it goes back to this. Yeah, that's 100 times better. I'm gonna change, we don't need the acceleration anymore. We're gonna make the speed slightly higher, and then, what about changing this a little bit? Maybe like 35. Definitely also want to do this. Wait, what if we... wait, that transparency seems a little bit much. Okay, hold on. What if we make this really bright? This actually might look really good. I think if we're making this more transparent. Oh, actually, I might need to mess with the world's lighting a little bit. Because this is a very, I don't like the new base plate sort of thing. The brightness is 3. Okay. When I actually have lighting that I would generally use in a game, this is starting to look better. Okay, so I'm not dumb. The world's lighting just absolutely sucks. Now, I guess that's still my fault, but... learning, make sure your world's lighting is to your liking. So this fire looks pretty nice now. If we were to change the image, that's the same image. The other image, honestly don't look that good in comparison. Let's turn the transparency down. Whoops. Turn it down a little bit. Yeah, that's looking much better. Okay, that's why I'm... okay. My bad. Let's move on to... I kind of want to make some sort of lightning thing. I do have a bunch of those images. Alright, here's another default particle emitter. We're gonna mess with this a little bit. We're gonna go back to kind of default testing sort of thing. And let's get some lightning. Now for this, we're definitely gonna want a very short lifetime, but we're gonna do that in a minute. 100% gonna want the 180 by 180. The size can, maybe something like this. Okay, now I'll make this a lot shorter. Light emission is going to be 1. We're going to make it, I don't know about 10. We're going to make this 5. Let's make this a yellowy color since, you know, it's lightning or electricity. I don't think it needs to get that big. Let's squash it a little bit. Let's put this right in the middle. Give it a little bit of envelope. Okay, yeah. Then if we make it emit more, there's more of our lightning. Looks pretty nice. Why don't we put this in a regular part? Or just in the part now. Have a part like this. We're gonna make it not transparent. We're not gonna need the attachment, actually. Let's leave this transparent. Be a little bit easier. I'm gonna name this real quick so I don't get confused. I've done that many times. Honestly, for this, it's gonna be a lot about the images, so I'm gonna make this 7.5. I use Control D to copy and paste the same, to copy and paste what I've selected into the same place. So we're gonna use the image I have here. This looks kind of green. That's, I guess, like this. Okay, that's actually kind of annoying. Well, I guess it looks fine now. It's orange. Okay. That's kind of odd. This is the same way, so I'll copy this instead. Here we go. Here's the different lightnings. Why don't we just like 0.1? Actually, more like lightning. I want it to rotate. Get a quick rotation. Make all of these like 10. Just a little bit more. What if we... Just longer, what would this look like? I think it looks pretty nice. This is more made to be on a smaller part. I mean, if we did increase the rate, it could look pretty nice on a bigger part. Still feel like there's something missing, but... honestly, what if we change the color a little bit, make it more of a lighter yellow? Ooh, actually, that looks nice. Can I do that with this, or is it gonna look weird? Actually can, no way. Let me copy. No, don't cut it. Copy it. I'm gonna paste it into this. I have some more whiter looking lighting. Actually, it's like kind of green. Can I do this? That's the only issue with having colored images, is they can look weird with colors. Okay, I'm gonna bring this back to yellow. Back to our yellow. Let's see. I have the original one at 5, don't I? No, I have them all at 10. I think, yeah. If I made this higher, that look like they're a little bit more glowy. I kind of like that. Now, making particles is probably not the most entertaining thing to watch, so I'm sorry if you're kind of bored at this point, but most of the tutorial part is out of the way. This is kind of just me doing a little bit of practical stuff. If you want to watch and take notes, I don't recommend taking notes from me because I'm making tons of mistakes and just overall being terrible at making particles. I don't want to say I'm absolute garbage at making particles, but I'm not the best. So why don't we just leave it at this? This some pretty decent lightning. Let's try and do one more thing if we can. Just to kind of a little bit more of a different thing and get a... Let's do let's do something a bit different. I want to use this thing I have here. 180, 180. I want to make something that looks kind of like stars. For this, I definitely want to make it night. Be very bright. Kind of looks like constellations a little bit. Turn light influence off. And very bright. Why don't we move this away from the lightning so it's less distracting? We're gonna need to separate these, or maybe closer together in a little bit. I want this to be a purpley color. Ooh, I like that. And then it's very... Ooh, actually, I'm really liking this. Let's fade it back to a more bluey purple like this. Maybe we'll fade to a darker blue, and then we'll fade back. And we'll end in a purpley pink, like this. Ooh, that looks nice. Okay. Now this, we want it maybe a little bit slower. We're gonna spread it. Ooh, actually, rotate them kind of right up. Okay, right down and make them slower, actually. Oh, wait, duh. Here's me being bad at particles again. Not doing the simplest thing that makes particles look infinitely better. I think I'm increasing the size a little bit. Ooh, I like this. Seems a little bit much at first. Why don't we bring it a little bit... Oh, I'm liking this. I think with all the brightness, we need to make these a little bit more vibrant. Because they're all going to start fading to white, almost. Which, the white looks really nice, but that's exactly why we need to change this. We want the white, but we don't want it to be all white. Okay, that looks so much better. It's a really nice blue and purple looking, sort of galaxy looking thing. What would it look like if we did this? It doesn't fit as well, obviously, but... Ooh, something like this looks really cool. Okay, this actually gives me a cool idea. Let me copy this real quick. We're gonna have... No, actually... No, I'm gonna copy it and disable it. I'm gonna just call this 1. And this will be 2. This I want to be very transparent most of the time. I want it to be very faint. It'll look really nice as a background for this. It's very light. And if we do this and then switch it back to the other image, I think it's a little too faint. Ooh, okay. This needs to be just a tiny bit more this, and then maybe we'll fade it out longer and sooner. This looks really cool. Although that in the middle is super bright. Alright, this is definitely my favorite by far. Making a galaxy or something, sort of galaxy-themed particle looks super cool, but it's really easy to do. So, this might be a good first project to do, try and make some sort of galaxy-themed particles. And then there you go. These are the 3 that I have made today. Pretty scuffed video, but if you guys enjoyed or you learned anything, then please hit that like button. It helps me out a ton. And if you want to see more content like this, then subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you on the next video. Peace.